For the New York Mets, today is a day for regrouping. After a debacle of a game last night and some harsh post-game comments, it's a day for mending fences, for figuring out what to do going forward, for figuring out how to finish the season on a better note than the Mets have seen lately. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. Friday Night Baseball on SNY is presented by Time Warner Cable. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling will join us in just a moment from down on the field here at Citi Field. Last night, the Mets were thrashed by the Philadelphia Phillies 16-1. Every team has bad games, but the Mets are going through an historically bad stretch, especially here at home. Over their last 29 games at Citi Field, they are 4-25. They've lost their last 9 home games, and it culminated in that thrashing last night. And after the game, Terry Collins uncharacteristically said some rather harsh things about his team, some of them by not saying anything.
Terry, are you embarrassed by this?
I am.
Has his team quit?
You have to ask him.
What do you think?
You'll have to ask him. I have my own opinion. I'm not going to express it publicly.
So by implication, Terry was basically saying that his team had quit, and that struck a harsh note in the Mets clubhouse. And today, Terry walked back a lot of those remarks, talked to a lot of his players, and said before the game that he had handled things in the wrong way, that he was trying to push the right buttons, and maybe it struck the wrong note. Today, he had better things to say about his team, certainly not questioning their effort.
I believe in what we do here. I believe that we're going to grind it out on a daily basis. The guys, I talked to each and every guy today, and I know they care. I mean, there's a lot of guys playing for a lot of things in there, be it contracts, be it jobs, be it just pride alone. But everybody plays for something, and I know that. I know they are. We've just got to continue to battle through one of the worst times that any of us have ever been in the game.
So with 13 games to go in a lost season, that's the backdrop as the Mets get set for a series with the last-place Miami Marlins tonight. And, Ronnie, when you look at what Terry said after the game and the way he handled his emotions, how do you think the response in the clubhouse matches what Terry said?
Well, I think that the response in the clubhouse would be of anger if you didn't quit, of resign if you did. I think the thing that you really have to think about, though, is that Terry Collins started his career as a real fiery manager, one that sometimes rubbed his team in the wrong way. Now he's become really a player's manager in his later career, his second act here. I think, though, watching him last night after the game, I love that emotion. He has been in the game over 40 years. He's played it. He's lived it. He's managed it. I trust his gut. I think he should trust his gut, too.
Well, Ron, I couldn't agree with you more, and it was an emotional moment for here, and quite frankly, I don't really feel, I know the game has changed today. There's no need for him. I don't know what he did when he went down and talked to the players today, but there's no need as a manager, I feel, to have to go up to the players and apologize or take your statements back. I mean, he's the manager. We're the players are the grunts, and sometimes a kick in the rear is a good thing. I'll remind myself of one thing. Whitey Herzog always said, no matter whether you have a good team or a bad team, a bad manager will lose you more games than a good manager will win you games. And Terry hasn't had a lot to work with of late, and it's been evident the team played, I felt, over its head in the first half. It came back down to earth. I mean, crashed down to earth in the second half. So that's why there's 162 games. The cream will always come to the top. I've always been a fan of Terry, and I still am.
So the Mets today trying to regroup. They'll have John Neese on the mound trying to career-high 12th win. Mets will try and stay out of last place as they take on the Marlins tonight. All the action coming your way right here on SNY. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Geico. By Cadillac. By Astoria Federal Savings. And by Hyundai. Hurry into your local Hyundai dealer now. The Savings at Every Turn sales event at great prices end October 1st. It's the Mets and the Marlins. Last day of summer in New York. Enjoy it while you can. First pitch coming up from Citi Field. In his career, here's the Marlins starting lineup he'll face, brought to you by Hyundai. No Guillermo, Giancarlo Stanton. He's still got a pulled muscle in his side, and so Reyes and Lee in the middle of that lineup. Justin Urgiano hits fifth, as the Marlins with an opportunity to get out of last place if they can beat the Mets tonight.
Well, Jonathan trying to go for his career high with those 11 wins as you look at those Caesars Atlantic City stats. But even more importantly, on 6 days rest or more, his ERA is under 2.
And he's pitching on the 7th day in this start. Gorkys Hernandez playing center field and leading off. And he takes the first pitch out of the strike zone for ball 1. Hernandez acquired from Pittsburgh at the trading deadline, hitting just 183 on the year. Guy who's been involved in a couple of big trades in his career. Started out in the Braves organization, to Detroit, to Pittsburgh, and now a Marlin. Donovan Solano on deck, and a slow ground ball that Nice is able to handle. And Hernandez retired for the first out. This is Nice's 4th start against the Marlins this season.
You know, the thing about Jonathan Nice, as we've watched him mature, we talked a little bit about young pitchers maturing, is that he is starting to use all of his pitches. He's starting to pitch to both sides of the plate. He's got a maturity now that he didn't have, of course, when he first came up. And his last start was a little rough. He's 1-5 in his career, but he's pitched much better against this Marlins team for this season.
Well, the Mets are already well ahead of the game tonight. Took him to the 9th batter last night to get an out. Nice already has an out tonight. There you see his lines from his 3 starts against the Marlins. And note that he went at least 6 innings in all of them. Not surprising when you consider that John has now gone 18 consecutive starts of 6 innings or more.
His last 18 starts, he's walked 20.
He had walked 2 or fewer in the first 17 of those before he walked 3 in his last start in Milwaukee. Nonetheless, a win for him. Jose Reyes waiting on deck. Donovan Solano playing most of the second base these days for the Marlins, hitting a .276. Rookie from Colombia. Not Colombia. Colombia.
Drop an O in there.
We'd like to claim him, but, you know, that would be unfair. And the curveball from base 1 and 2.
Wasn't there one particular area in Colombia which is predominantly soccer where they play baseball?
Right near the coast, Barranquilla.
Yeah.
That's where all the Colombian players, Edgar Renteria and Orlando Cabrera and the Solano brothers, are all from. .93 from Nice, and it's 1 and 2 to Solano. The Marlins began their season 31 and 23 through the first third of the schedule, but their season has gone much like the Mets. Since that 8-game over 500 start, they've gone 35 and 61. And there's a breaking ball in for a call, third strike. Got him on the backdoor cutter, and Solano caught looking for the second out.
And we'll take a look at the Alexis Metropolitan defense. And Lucas Duda out there. See his 16 start. Harrison's playing center field tonight. Torres is out of the lineup. Fred Lewis out there in right field gets another start. And that is the same cast of characters we've seen most of the season in the infield.
Muted reaction for Jose Reyes. His third trip in this year, so it's not quite the cause célèbre that it was the first time he showed up at Citi Field this season. Jose's had a terrific second half. He's hitting a .288 for the year. Well, it's nice to see the Montreal Canadiens in town.
Les Habs.
The Habs.
There's no other place for hockey players to go these days than come to baseball game.
The Habs.
And the have-nots. Cutter inside to Reyes, and it's 2-1.
It's a beautiful sweater, though, isn't it?
It's a classic.
That and the I love the Bruins uniforms too.
Les Habitants.
That's right.
Reyes, since the All-Star break, hitting .319 with 30 extra base hits in 64 games. So after what was a slow start for Jose in his new home, he has picked it up. But this has been a dreadful year for the Marlins after great expectations with the signing of Reyes and Heath Bell and Mark Burley, among others, and just about everybody's job is in jeopardy, including the manager, Ozzie Guillen. Came in on a 4-year contract this year, and there are rumors going around that the Marlins may well let him go after this season.
Boy.
Do you think his remarks in April will have anything to do with it, Gary?
I think 66 and 84 has everything to do with it. Reyes pokes a base hit the other way. And, you know, we talked about it right from the opening weeks of the season, that you look at what the Marlins put together here with the volatile personality of Guillen and not a whole lot of leadership, that it was really a potentially bad mix, and it really turned out just that way. They tried to bring in as much talent as they could to move into their new ballpark, and it just didn't fit together properly. Here's Carlos Lee, who was a midseason import, and he takes ball 1, and shows you how their fortunes have changed. Lee was brought in the beginning of July when the Marlins fancied themselves a contender, and 3 weeks later they were selling off their assets. 1-1 to Lee.
Well, I think the one thing you learned from the Marlins, maybe from the Los Angeles Dodgers now, making wholesale changes takes some time, you know, to change every position, bring a lot of new personalities in. Sometimes it does not mesh.
Reyes 35 steals this year, tied for 3rd in the National League, 4 behind Michael Bourne, who's won the last 3 stolen base titles. Nobody steals 70 or 80 anymore, do they?
Juan Pierre right there at spot time duty.
Murphy fields Lee's grounder, and that'll do it for the Marlins in the top of the 1st inning. Mets come to bat against Jacob Turner in the bottom of the 1st. No score at Citi Field. Look at him. There's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Fred Lewis had a good night last night. That was a rarity. So he gets back-to-back starts. Scott Hairston playing center field for the 8th time this year as the Mets try to snap their 9-game home losing streak against young Mr. Turner.
Jacob Edward Turner was the main part of that deal for Anibal Sanchez and Omar Infante. In fact, when he was in the Detroit chain, he was their #1 pick, the 9th in the country that year, and they would call him the next Verlander. Well, not yet.
Lewis got on base 3 times last night with a single and 2 walks. So the former Giant and Jay and Red getting a chance to play tonight. Lewis, Murphy, and Wright trying to get the Mets started in the first inning. And Turner missing with a fastball, a ball on a strike.
I don't think he has the fastball of
No,
Justin Verlander.
No. I mean, he's a 91, 92 mile an hour guy. He's got a good curveball and a developing changeup. And there's that curveball that misses. 2 balls and a strike.
So thus the comparison to Verlander was a little over the top.
Well, just off by a few mph.
They know how to do that in Detroit a few times through their history.
Chris Patero.
There you go.
It's a fastball strike. 2-2 to Lewis.
He has a little sink on one of his fastballs. He cuts it a little bit. That big overhand hook. More of a control pitcher.
Turner made 3 starts for the Tigers, 4 starts for the Marlins since the trade. And it slapped to shortstop right at Reyes, positioned perfectly to throw out Lewis for the first out.
And we'll take a look at the Coors Light Fish defense. Not to be confused with the Dolphins. This is the Marlins.
Reyes Dolphins this Sunday.
That's why I brought it up, Garrett. Reyes with 16 errors. That's a little bit much, but they say his defense second half has been much better. He's really improved his game. Other guys out there, boy, oh boy, they're just a bunch of guys that are not everyday players, some young players. It's September.
Did you say ham and eggers?
No, I didn't say ham and eggers. I would never disparage players out there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you'd never disparage ham and eggs like that.
Call someone a ham and egger, that's blows.
Some people might aspire to be ham and eggers, you know?
Well, that's a real Massachusetts term, right? For when you ask a guy, hey, what's he do for a job? I don't know, but he ham and eggs it around. He gets it done.
It's not a totally disparaging remark. Turner ahead on Murphy 0-2 with David Wright on deck. And the breaking ball bounced and past Turner. Tough play for Solano with the bare hand, safe. Murphy beats it for an infield hit. Turner was very slow going after that ball.
Yes, he was.
It went by his glove.
I don't know if he called him safe. Let's see.
Said he was off the bag, perhaps?
He stayed on the bag, too, and I thought he was out. I tell you, we've seen some botched calls at first base, and particularly this season. There's been some bad calls at first base.
That's the veteran crew chief Tim Welke who made that call. So the Mets get a break, and they have a 1-out base runner for David Wright. There's Tim. Usually find him on the same crew as his brother Bill, but not for this series. David 4 hits shy of the Mets franchise hits record held by Ed Kranepool. And he takes outside for ball 1. There's your umpiring team. Laz Diaz calling the balls and strikes. The aforementioned Mr. Welke at first. Paul Schreiber and Mike Everett rounding out the crew. David at 309 for the year, 6th in the National League. And I don't know, do we say now that he's 5th because of the ruling today? Major League Baseball, per the request of Melky Cabrera, has disqualified Melky from potentially winning the National League batting crown.
Repeat that again.
Melky asked that he be taken out of consideration for winning the National League batting crown, and Major League Baseball concurred.
I am so happy to hear that. That, to me, right there, raises him up in my esteem. I was just thinking about it, that if he do the right thing, would be to not accept the batting crown.
David loops one into shallow right, and there's Kearns to play it for the second out. Now,
pretty good politics by Melky.
They said that this is a one-time exception, but you'd have to think it opens up an entire can of worms about how you now deal with players who are under suspension.
Well, I think because Michael Weiner and Bud Selig. No one covering second base, and Murphy gone.
Murphy takes off, but now they say the time was called. First base umpire Tim Welke saying that he had called time, but he gives Murph a pat on the back and E for effort.
I never seen that.
No, I was saying that you see Murph, he's trying to
Reyes' back turn.
Didn't fool the pitcher. Reyes was asleep. What new?
Ike Davis takes a strike.
No, I was saying, but Bud Selig and Michael Weiner came together. Michael, of course, the head of the union for the players, and kind of reopened a little part of that CBA agreement to make this exception. And I think it's something, Gary, that you mentioned there is correct. The next time they have a collective bargaining agreement, I'm sure that'll be in there. If you are suspended during the season, you will not be able to be up for any kind of titles, awards,
hence
whatever.
Well,
hence the lawyers.
And then you start to ask, well, if you're disqualified from a batting title, or you're disqualified from MVP, are you also disqualified from the Hall of Fame?
Well,
I mean, that's the next step, right?
This should be a conversation.
So, I mean, you know, it's the baseball writers who vote for the Hall of Fame along with the Veterans Committee. And, you know, certainly the writers have had their own ideas about who should be eligible with the low vote totals that Mark McGwire's gotten so far.
And what happens if, say, this was season with Melky Cabrera was in reverse? That his suspension for 50 days was in the earlier part of the season, and he's playing the second half fighting for a batting title.
It's an interesting question, too. I'll tell you two people who are happy about it. Andrew McCutchen and Buster Posey.
That's right.
As they will now battle it out for that National League batting title.
Well, I think it is the correct thing to do, and I always felt that Bud Selig, and I'm not a lawyer, thank God, and I thought that Bud should have stepped in a lot earlier and disqualified him. I don't know what the labor laws are.
Yeah, I don't think that he really had the opening to do that as far as the CBA was concerned, but this came from the player himself, which gave them that opening.
And it's a good political move by Melky, because it at least shows that he has some remorse for his actions.
Murphy runs, and it's boxed by the catcher Brantley, and Murphy has the stolen base. Stolen base number 8 for Murphy.
I don't know if you guys just saw that as Brantley struggles with this. Reyes is trying to get Murphy to get off the base. He stole the base. He went to second base, and then Reyes was talking to him, and he started to go back to first base because he thought it was a foul ball. He heard the noise. He goes back to second. Watch, he'll do it one more time.
You can never trust the enemy. My goodness.
Especially a turncoat. Murphy's very happy that he was not caught in that mental mistake. And Ike pulls one into the shift, but it goes by Solano into right field, and Murphy will score the game's first run. A bizarre trip around the bases, to be sure, for Daniel, but he winds up scoring on Ike Davis's hard shot. I assume that will be ruled a base hit, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Oh, bad hop. You could rule that it's a home book hit, but you could very easily rule that an error. I thought Solano could have gotten in front of the ball, but he tried to be the Truba Matador out there. Olé.
Well, they have scored at a hit. 82nd run batted in for Davis. That ties him with David Wright for the club lead, and now they've just changed the call. And it's an error instead. Here's a call strike to Hairston. So take that RBI off the board, take the hit off as well. It's an error on Solano, allowing the run to score. A tough error, but an error nonetheless.
Well, I think that he just misplayed it. If he got in front of it, it would have been more obvious.
I don't think that was a tough error at all. I thought he was fooled by the speed of the hit, the ball off the end of the bat by Davis. So he played it off to the side when it was an easy to get in front of that ball.
Agreed. Monsieur.
So now a 2-strike count to Hairston. And he takes the breaking ball down, 1-2. Jacob Turner pitched a gem in his last start against the Reds. 7 innings, no runs, 2 hits for his first win as a Marlin. He also won a game earlier this year for Detroit. And Ike is in motion as Hairston fouls it off. So, coming in the wake of their manager's comments about the potential that they had laid down last night, the Mets are being very aggressive here in the first inning. Ike, who has not stolen a base this year, running with that pitch. And Hairston takes just off the plate, 2-2.
It's got to take getting beat 16-1 to come out and start running today on September 21st. Is that what we're talking about?
Better late than never.
I think important is that one score to the left of that 5-4 final. That is Cubs came back and beat the Cardinals today, so that makes it very interesting tonight for the Brewers, for the Phillies.
Well, the
Dodgers.
Cardinals had a 4-2 lead going to the bottom of the ninth. Darwin Barney hit a 2-run homer to tie it, and then the Cubs won in 11 on a David DeJesus base hit. So the Cardinals lead at the moment 2 games over the Brewers. Adam LaRoche has a home run to put the Nats in front of that game, and Jonathan Lucroy homered for Milwaukee.
Darwin Barney's kind of recaptured his season, hasn't he, in the second half?
It's a very important. Oh, every game is important now for those teams because of the 2 in the wild card. I mean, the wild card would be over if it wasn't for the second team.
Fouls it off
in the
leg.
National League.
Yep.
Milwaukee now has 4 in Washington starting tonight, and then they got 3 in Cincinnati. They finish up at home with Houston. So this is a very big road trip for them. Obviously, LA. They're in Cincinnati. They're all important.
Both the Reds and the Nationals clinched postseason berths last night, but neither has clinched their division yet. The Reds' magic number is 2. The Nats' magic number is 8. The Giants' magic number is 3 for clinching the West.
And you know, Gary, there's a fight.
Hairston hits it deep to left field. Back goes Ruggiano looking up at the wall, and it's out of here. Scott Hairston with his career-high 18th home run of the year, a 2-run shot. And the Mets, who have not scored more than 3 runs in their last 16 home games, have taken care of the first 3 in the first inning.
Well, in a year where you've had guys have good first halves, bad second halves, not as consistent. Not that for Scott Hairston. Consistent all season long.
Had a terrific at bat there. Fouled off a lot of pitches to get that fastball down and out over the plate. That'll get the manager feeling good.
So the Mets taking advantage of the 2-out error. Hairston now with 18 home runs, most he's hit in a season in his career. And here's Lucas Duda. For Jacob Turner, by the way, that's the 9th home run he's given up in 37 big league innings this year. So it's a familiar sight.
Well, if the second baseman made a play, he wouldn't be out there. Nine home runs in 37 innings is something, though. That'll have you scratching your head.
.27 pitches already in the first inning for Turner. That's a lot of home runs.
You know, that's a 45 to 50 in a full season.
Yeah, with the Marlins in 20, not quite 25 innings, that's 5.
Two balls and a strike to Duda. Well, the Mets gave up an 8-run first inning last night. Now they have 3 on the board in the first for themselves tonight as Duda pops one up. Out into shallow left field goes Velasquez, the third baseman. He gives way and it drops in.
My God.
Velasquez, the third baseman, calling it all the way and then just stopped. Ruggiano, the left fielder, never called for it. And Duda winds up on first base.
He's calling for it, and he says, I got it, you take it.
Ruggiano never called.
Ruggiano probably should have called, but Velasquez had and pulled up. Boy.
Oh, look right in front of Ruggiano.
Velasquez is not a kid, and neither is Ruggiano. Ruggiano is a 30-year-old minor league veteran. Velasquez is 32, and that's not a play that major leaguers make. Meanwhile, Lucas Duda standing at first. He probably should have been at second.
Yes. And you never take your eye off the ball. You could put your head down for a bit, but he never looked at the ball the whole way down the line.
Duda gets credit for a base hit. Here's Ruben Tejada. So the inning has been extended twice by poor Miami defense. Tejada hitting at 289, dropped in the batting order to 7th tonight, and he takes a strike. Didn't play last night as Justin Turner got the start at shortstop. The last game he played on Wednesday night, he went 3 for 5. Josh Tolley would be next. Nothing at 2 to Tejada. By the way, the Elias folks last night let us know that the Phillies became the first team in Major League history to score 7 or more runs in the first inning and 7 or more runs in the 9th inning. It had never happened before in the history of the game. Phillies got 8 in the first and 7 in the 9th.
You know, I always find it intriguing, right? First ever, never in history. By the way, Turner, the pitcher, almost threw it past Lee there at first base with a nonchalant toss.
He's not getting his slider over. Curveball, he's in the dirt.
Jacob Turner, who grew up in St. Louis, first round pick, 9th overall by the Tigers in '09. He probably had as good high school coaching as any kid's ever had. His high school pitching coach was Todd Worrell, and both Andy Bennis had a son on his high school team as well,
and Mike Matheny.
Mike Matheny's son as well was on that high school team. So can you imagine the instruction those kids got?
Covered.
Did they win?
Well, he was the 9th overall pick. I guess it worked. Having trouble tonight, but Solano makes this play and cleanly throws out Tejada to end the inning. But the Mets get 3 unearned runs, the result of Solano's error. Capped by Scott Hairston's 18th home run of the year, a new career high for Hairston, and a 3-0 lead for John Neese to work with as we go to the second. World Series film, season highlights, and celebrated games. Order your 10 DVD anniversary gift set at Mets.com. Justin Ruggiano leads off in the second inning. Mets with a 3-0 lead. And John Neese misses outside, a ball and a strike. Ruggiano's had a dream year. 30-year-old minor league veteran. Hey, Tom and Mookie are here. Slow ground ball. Wright tries to make the bare hand play, and he got him. That's a tremendous play by David, who had to adjust as that ball stayed down and still made the play to throw out Ruggiano.
Well, David's come a long way. He's one of the best at the bare hand. And there it's in full display.
And that is your Home Depot doing more on defense. Well, Mike Davis catches that throw, and he just caught a break too, because they just changed the scoring again on the ball that he hit that Solano botched. They've changed it to a base hit. So give Ike an RBI and tack 3 earned runs onto the ledger of Jacob Turner.
Wonder who the official waiver is tonight.
All right. Let me go clean up my scorecard.
Well, I've whited out the same play twice now. How many layers of whiteout can you use before the paper starts to bulge? Austin Kearns, the batter. Kearns now 32 years old, former Cincinnati prospect who has bounced around. And he hits it sharply, but right at Tejada. And he makes the play on Kearns, 2 away. That's David's pickup on your Coors Light Freeze Cam.
Now you can see plainly on that play, folks, in that beautiful slow mo cam, and he has it in the palm of his hands. That's just to make sure you secure it and make it a catch, a grasp it. And then the trick is to make the throw, because you're really throwing a palm ball over there.
Well, how do you get from 5 fingers
you
to
don't. You
to 2
get it.
fingers?
You get it. You throw sidearm, and you let the ball roll off your 4 fingers. So you're really basically throwing a screwball over to your pitcher, practically a submarine sinker.
You're probably adding to throwing at the right shoulder or off that shoulder of Ike Davis, because the ball's going to come back to the first base. But you saw that on that play, he got rid of that ball much quicker than he usually does, because he knew he wasn't going to get a good handle on it.
Rob Brantley grounds it down to Davis. Easy inning for John Neese. He gets him out 1-2-3 with the help from that fine play by Wright. 3-0 Mets in the second. I'll say that again. The Mets in the first inning had their first 3-run inning in this ballpark since the All-Star break. The last time they scored 3 runs in an inning was the last game before the break, July the 6th, against the Cubs. Wow. 2.5 months ago. Gives you an idea, a measure of just how futile the Mets offense has been in this ballpark the second half of the year. It hasn't been nearly as bad on the road, but here a struggle every night. As Toley lifts one out to left, and Ruggiano back, and he misplays it. Oh my God. The Marlins are just playing dreadful defense early in this game, and Toley takes advantage. He'll get credit for a double.
Thank you very much, double.
Let's take a peek.
Okay.
As they say in Spanish Harlem, muy malo. That was bad.
Glad you stopped there. John Neese ready to sacrifice, and he takes ball 1 from Turner. Neese has 6 sacrifices to go with 11 hits. He's had a very good year at the plate. He's hitting .216.
Lee's charging. We saw that Turner was slow off the mound. Velasquez is staying back, so make Velasquez field the ball.
Well, turn loose to swing the bat.
Well, you know what he picked up is Jose never went back to his position. Jose was holding the runner totally close and then never moved to his position, so there's a big hole for Neese to hit it through.
One back on, and Neese fouls it off. 1-2. Fred Lewis leading off again tonight, is waiting on deck. Ready to swing, and he takes it outside. 2-2. Jacob Turner, when he was drafted by the Tigers in '09, had committed to play at the University of North Carolina. That one smacked to short. Reyes is going to go to third with it on a hop, and a nice play by Velasquez, but he misses the tag, and Toley gets in safely.
So he's saying he bobbled it. That could be an error on Reyes on the throw. Yep, it's a correct call.
And Velasquez just trying to secure the ball. Didn't get the tag down in time.
He's clearly out with a good throw.
Good call by Mike Everett, who stayed with that play.
Boy, oh boy, this is El Stinkowski.
So it's an error on Reyes. The second error that was charged. The first one was taken away. So officially the first error on the Marlins, but they've now made 4 dreadful plays in the first inning plus of this game. First and third and nobody out, and Fred Lewis takes outside and low, and the Mets are poised to do something they haven't done in 40 days and 40 nights. Score more than 3 runs in a game at home. Last time they did was August the 12th, a 6-5 win over the Braves, and John Neese pitched that night as well.
2 score.
Back to Turner. Secures it in time, almost throws it away, but now they have Toley in the rundown, and Velasquez has trouble catching it, and Lee finally puts on the tag. What a comedy of errors. I mean, they tried 3 times to mess up that play, and finally they got the play on Toley, but the runners got to second and third. Wow.
Almost throws it away here. Good play by the third baseman, and he bobbles. And then Carlos Lee backs up and allows both runners to advance.
Never tagged them either, so add that one to the list.
1-2-5-3 on the fielder's choice. Now runners at second and third with 1 out, and Daniel Murphy, who had an infield hit, stole a base and scored a run in the first. It gets away, and here comes the runner from third. Nice comes in to score. Lo and behold, the Mets have 4 runs. Well, the last time the Mets played the Marlins down in Miami, the Marlins looked like a dead team. They look worse than that so far tonight.
Well, that's why they are languishing in the old basement.
It's a wild pitch charge to Turner. Infield in with a runner at third and 1 out.
Well, we'll see the reaction of Mr. Nice. Very nice. He was ready to go. He should score on that. Nicely done.
Well, now that they've cracked the barrier and scored 4 runs for the first time in their last 17 home games, what might the Mets do from here?
Well, we'll see.
They've broken the dam.
To do the Vulcan mind probe to find out what they're going to do.
Is that painful?
Depends if it's one of those kind of small beaver dams or if it's the Hoover Dam.
Chad Godin gets up in the Miami bullpen. 2-2 to Murphy, and it's wide. And a full count. Already 49 pitches for Turner in these first 2 innings. Not helped out at all by his defense. Lewis, who reached on a fielder's choice and moved over on the wild pitch, is at third with 1 out. And Murphy smacks one to left center field. Cutting across is Hernandez to grab it, but Lewis can walk on in with the 5th Met run. Sacrifice fly from Murphy, and it's 5-0 New York. Murphy drives in his 62nd run of the year.
Nice at bat by Murph.
Well, this has been a tumultuous last 24 hours for this team. They hit rock bottom last night. I don't think there's any way of sugarcoating that. Their manager reacted emotionally, made some amends with his team today, and whatever it was, it's clicked, and they've been helped out by some horrible Marlins defense to take a 5-0 lead, and Turner throws one to the backstop. First pitch to right.
Good Lord.
Randy St. Clair's hiding. Doesn't look like he wants anything to do with it. Right hits one out to right center field. Hernandez calls as he goes, and that retires the side, but not before the Mets put up 2 more runs, helped out by Reyes' error. It's 5-0 New York after 2. Left field, and Mike Baxter comes into the game. Lucas Duda is taken out of the game as Nice starts the third, missing high to Gil Velasquez. Now remember, back in the first inning, Duda hit a pop-up, didn't run hard, should have been at second, wound up at first, and you have to wonder whether his departure from the game is a reaction to that. We don't know that for sure, but certainly is a possibility, and if so, it's very interesting that that would happen today, of all days. Velasquez, who was originally a Mets draft pick back in 1998, he's had a few big league cups of coffee with the Red Sox.
Well, he's had a tough time of it. He's off to a nice 1 for 15 start.
Hit .312 in AAA this year in New Orleans. And he pops one up. Murphy back and called off, and the ball drops. So the Mets just as susceptible to what plagued the Marlins.
Oh boy.
Murphy got out of the way thinking that Baxter had called him off, and I don't know whether Mike did or not.
Okay.
So Velasquez has a base hit, and now the pitcher Turner will try and butt him along. Don't think that the first few innings of this game will be used as a training film for young baseball players.
Can be used for any players.
Tell you what, though, our director's on top of it.
Well, somebody has to be.
Is he still here?
Turner offered at that pitch, and it's 0-2. The Mets and Marlins have 6 games left with each other starting tonight. Standings brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Battling it out to try and stay out of the cellar. Nice fields the bunt. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Velasquez moves to second. So Gorkis Hernandez the batter. You know, as we look at those standings and you think back to the prognostications for the Mets before the season, I would say the vast majority of people who made predictions before the season picked the Mets to finish last. A lot of people picked the Mets to lose 100 games this year. So when you measure the Mets season against that, you'd say, well, they've outperformed expectations. But when you look how far they've fallen, you don't feel that way at all. Wright throws out Hernandez for the second out as Velasquez goes to third. On the other hand, the Marlins were picked by a lot of people to win the division, and that didn't work out in the slightest.
Well, they've been the biggest disappointment, at least in the National League. That is for certain.
Especially now since Phillies have gotten themselves back in it.
Everybody have picked the Marlins to win it, to win the division,
or at least, you know, battle for a wild card or whatever. Here's Solano, who took a call third strike his first time up. Runner at third and 2 out. And Nice pours in a fastball for a strike.
The Phillies winning 2-1 in the top of the 4th at home against Atlanta. That's a game to watch. Milwaukee, of course, is losing 2-1 in Washington in the bottom of the 3rd. That's another one to watch.
Hit hard and a base hit for Solano. That'll bring in a run. So Velasquez comes in to score the first Miami run, and it's 5-1 New York. Solano's 23rd RBI.
Bullet to right field.
Somewhat more vociferous reaction to Jose Reyes for his second at bat than he got for his first, as he takes the curveball from Nice for a strike. Jose had a single to right his first time up.
Solano's 7 stolen bases this year without getting caught. He's generally very difficult to run on.
Mets playing Jose straight up on the infield.
And Murphy with the chance on the one hopper. Throws out Reyes to end the inning. Marlins cash a run. Mets lead at 5-1 going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Talked totally about that inning. There's been a part of Jonathan Neese, have you noticed lately, of getting frustrated. You know, he had that little flick there with the curveball and discussing things with Tolley. But
is that about pitch selection, you think?
Yeah, and Neese is frustrated. He expects a lot from himself coming down the stretch.
Well, he might be frustrated, but it's a year that John Neese should be awfully proud of. I mean, the goal for John this year was to stay healthy and be productive through the end of the season. And, you know, with 2 weeks to go in the year, it looks like he's doing just that.
He's going to get 3 starts, 3 more starts? Not 4, right? 3 more starts, probably the way they're going with all the extra pitching. So 3 more starts, going to win tonight to have his career wins with 12. Maybe add 1 or 2 more.
He's got a chance for a career high in strikeouts as well. He's just 2 shy of that. You know, the Mets made an investment in John. They signed him to that 5-year deal during spring training and let him know they wanted him here for the long term. And I think it's gotten lost in the fact that Dickey has been so dominant. But John has had an extraordinarily consistent year, especially since the All-Star break. 2-2 now to Davis. I mean, at a time when, you know, the starting pitching was dominant the first half of the year. Santana was on his game, and Pelfrey got off to a good start before he got hurt, and Neese was part of that too. But at a time when, you know, the Mets have needed somebody to right the ship, John has been there every start to give them length. Solano throws out Davis for the first out.
He has. He's been outstanding. He's been a guy that you can almost pen in or pencil in your notebook scorecard that he's going to go at least 6 innings, many times 7. He's starting to get where he doesn't walk anyone. The only Achilles heel you can kind of look at is that he's given up some home runs, but that doesn't even alarm me, because if you throw that many strikes, you're going to give up some home runs.
I think you take that trade-off, right?
There'll be more solos if you throw a lot of strikes and not walk anyone.
18 straight starts with 6 or more innings, and in only one of those starts did he walk as many as 3. A little better run support, he would have 15 or 16 wins at least by now. Hairston hit a 2-run homer his first time up. His 18th of the year, setting a new career high. 50 RBIs now for Hairston in a part-time role.
Turner just can't get his no consistency with his breaking ball. But you can just, he tries to raise his sights. He's been in the dirt with it, and he's more inclined then to make the adjustment to hang it.
Well, the thing for Turner is that he's going to have to work on. He's got a lot of moving parts, and the more moving parts you have for Randy St. Clair there, the pitching coach, less apt you're going to be to repeat your motion. I mean, it's as simple as that. You've got to take, and he's only had a few starts now, so after the trade from Detroit, but he's going to have to simplify that motion, have one or two things that he does, and it'll make his breaking ball so much more consistent.
Just 21 years old. He's 6'5", so
forget that he's 21
right.
too.
And 19 minor league starts this year. Went 7-4, 2.58.
21 years old. I was pitching in Double-A, so he's up in the show.
This is with that cutter, and it's 2-2 to Hairston.
Very simple delivery, windup. It doesn't go over his head, stays, his glove doesn't move much.
Off the fists, and a little pop up for Brantley for the second out.
Oh well.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Mike Baxter will get his first turn at bat. We check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, Mike Baxter is one of the most level-headed guys on this team, guys. He's always pretty even keel. He knows how to handle himself. And from all the things we started the broadcast talking about with Terry Collins' comments last night about the whole quit thing, I figured Mike would really have an accurate temperature of the team. And he said, look, I've never been a manager. I can imagine, though, how when you're pushing all these different buttons and absolutely nothing is getting results, how that would be frustrating. He said, I can tell you that we haven't given up. I can tell you that. Sometimes when you have a lack of offense, that looks like it, though. And that's what we've had. He said, I can only speak for me. For me, I've played like garbage. It's absolutely killing me, and I'm pressing now because of it. And it's a vicious cycle. He said, so I don't know what that looks like on the outside, but that's what the deal from the inside. And I think that is an accurate way to describe it. But that's it's such an interesting thing how Terry described it last night. The players' reaction to all of that.
Kick save by Turner, and Baxter's got a hit. Seeing all sorts of stuff tonight.
Here we come. The whole MASH unit's going to come out and check on his foot.
Well, what's interesting in that play is that in his follow through, he just left his foot there. He could have turned around and used his glove.
He's wearing a shoe. I don't know why they'd be concerned about his foot.
Take a few tosses. Let's go.
So Turner will make sure that that foot is intact.
Is there a rule how many pitches you can have on a potential injury?
I guess there isn't, but usually a 2 is the max. If you can't throw 2 and done, then you're probably out of the game.
I always harken back to that John Neese injury a few years ago when he went to the mound to try and throw a warm-up pitch after he had hurt his groin, and he collapsed as he was throwing the warm-up pitch.
In Miami, right? Was it in Miami?
I thought it was home.
I thought it was home too.
Okay.
The funny thing was, when we looked at the replay of him throwing the warm-up pitch, when he threw it, the trainer was looking the other way.
Didn't Neese get hurt going down for a swinging bunt? And
he was covering at first base. No, that was a different play.
Okay, right. The other injury, right?
Here's Tejada, and he takes ball 1. Tejada grounded out his first time up. Well, the Phillies have hit 3 home runs tonight and lead the Braves 4-1 in the 4th. Franzen, Howard, and Ruiz have all hit home runs.
Howard's getting hot.
3 straight games now. At least he didn't hit this one off Josh Edgen. It was a terrible way for Edgen's season to end.
Oh, boy.
Because he is going to be shut down now after that game last night. 75 appearances now between the major leagues and the minor leagues after just 49 last year. And you know that he'd like to go out there and have one good one.
Yeah.
So you end his season on a bad, really bad note, and he goes home with a really bad taste in his mouth. Where he can redeem himself.
Baxter runs. The throw by Brantley is a good one, and he got him. Solano with the tag, and Baxter's caught stealing. 2-4 to end the inning. Nice play there by Brantley. And the Mets are done at the bottom of the third, leading 5-1. Carlos Lee leads off the fourth inning for Miami. Well, Lucas Duda is in the dugout. No word on why Lucas was removed from the game. So we are left only to speculate about whether it was because he didn't run hard on that pop-up.
In a couple different scenarios, that sickness or injury.
This was the at bat. Ball fell into left field. Lucas with his head down, just jogging slowly down to first and unable to get to second. There's strike three call. Carlos Lee is caught looking. Second strikeout for Nice. Lee unhappy with Blas Diaz's call.
Well, too close to take.
That's a backdoor cutter that he's got a lot of strikes on this year.
You know, for a batter, when you see that pitch, it just never looks like it's even close to the outside corner.
There's Ruggiano, and he fists one foul. Ruggiano thrown out on a nice bare hand play by David Wright his first time up. Well, this is the time of year when coaches and managers are submitting their ballots for the Gold Gloves. Pop up into shallow right. Murphy out, Baxter in, and Murphy stays with this one and makes the catch. After bailing out on the last one and it fell in, this time he got another chance and he's able to smile about it.
Well, Murph way up the middle here. It's his ball.
So 2 out and nobody on, and Austin Kearns coming up. You know, I've sat in on some of those sessions where coaches sit around and fill out the ballots, and they'll talk to each other. Hey, what do you think we should put in center field? You know, and they each have an individual ballot, so it's not like there's a secret ballot. There's maybe colluding going on, but you wonder when the National League coaches sit around and fill out their ballots this week. Are they going to automatically put David Wright down as their Gold Glove third baseman, or is he going to have competition?
Well, David's got 2 golds, right?
Yep.
And that helps in the voting, a reputation as a Gold Glover. I think that at times Zimmerman can be a little flashier than David, and that sometimes opens some eyes for a manager. And a lot of times it depends on the series you had against that team. Right. How did they play against you in that series?
Played 6 games against them all year.
You got the 3 divisions now, and you got managers only see David play 6 games. Most managers, if you look at it, don't see him play but 6 games a year.
And you can watch highlight compilations nightly and weekly and monthly as much as you want, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story.
To me, they all blend together after a while, don't they?
There's the 1-2 to Kearns, and the curveball in there for a call third strike. He's with 2 strikeouts in the inning. He's now matched his career high with 148 for the year. 5-1 Mets. Presented by Astoria Federal Savings. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. We'll be on Pix 11 the next 2 days for the final 2 games of this series, including R.A. Dickey's second try at a 19th win tomorrow afternoon. Then 4 with the Pirates to close out the home schedule. And then the Mets go to Atlanta and Miami to finish the year. Dickey will pitch tomorrow, and then he'll pitch the home finale on Thursday afternoon against Pittsburgh. Then he'll get a start in Miami the second to last day of the season. Ruben Tejada grounded out to second his first time up. He was at the plate when Baxter was caught stealing to end the bottom of the third. So he gets a fresh turn. Josh Tolley and John Neese on deck. So we were thinking about David and his chances at the Gold Glove, and that's hit through the third baseman Velasquez and down the line. Tejada trying for 2. The throw by Ruggiano may beat him, but he gets around the tag and gets in safely. 24th double of the year for Ruben Tejada.
Well, fatten your average up time. Nicely done by Ruben. Throws on line, he's out. But alas, for Yorick, it wasn't.
Thank you, Horatio. Leadoff double for Tejada. Now Josh Tolley, who had a double his first time up.
Well, he's clearly out with a throw. It's on the mark.
Good slide, though, to the outside of the bag. No chance for Solano with the reach.
So Tejada has the Mets' 7th hit. Reggiano, who misplayed Toley's fly ball into a double his first time. And Turner gets ahead 0-2. Anyway, we were running down the list of teams and thinking about their third baseman, and I guess there's really, other than Zimmerman, there's only one other guy who might compete with David.
And it's Aramis Ramirez. And sometimes your offensive year will bleed into whether they give you a Gold Glove or not.
That's a good point, Ronnie.
But then again, both David and Ramirez have had outstanding offensive years, and Zimmerman has come on in the second half as well.
It also bleeds into the vote when you're an outstanding team that's had an outstanding year.
And Ramirez, when we were in Milwaukee last weekend, made his first error in around 60-plus games, was it?
Dropped that foul
dropped the pop-up.
Yeah. He could have had an error earlier in that series that was scored a base hit. Little tapper, and it'll roll foul. Joe Toldy will come on back. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Told you didn't tag him.
Out of the baseline, though, wouldn't you think?
Probably. But, I mean, the entire play of it, of course, has the end with the no tag.
See, the Mets still have those seats behind home plate. They're testing them out.
It was Giancarlo Stanton sitting out tonight. They were hoping that he'd be back tonight. Missed 3 straight games now with an injury to his side. And Toley drives one to deep right field. Back goes Kearns. He'll have room at the edge of the track. He reels it in. Tejada tags and goes to third. And Toley muscling up. He's had 1 home run this year.
Got to get the guy over. That's what he did.
Well, 375 where he hit it. Not even at the track. But got the job done.
There are those seats to either side of home plate that they're testing out for the All-Star game next year. Trying to figure out whether they jive with the camera angles. Infield in for Nice, and he lays off the breaking ball for ball 1. Nice reached on an error and scored on a wild pitch his first time up. Fred Lewis on deck. Nice job of capturing the hitter and the on-deck batter in the same shot, don't you think?
That's our man.
By design or by necessity?
And our director, too, is on the disabled list. We refuse to be disabled. He's got a bad rib, and he's still there working hard.
We've been trying to shut him down for a while.
Bad rib, bad back. Nothing stops him. Nice with 11 hits, 2 RBIs this year, trying to get Tejada home from third. And Turner falls behind him, 3-1. And there's a strike. Nice has drawn more than his share of walks this year.
Excellent
He's in
hustle.
that walk groove.
Nice hustle after that bat. Little sinkage here. Off the plate.
Not according to Les Diaz, and that's strike 3 called. So Nice takes strike 2 and strike 3, and that's the second out of the inning. The first strikeout for Jacob Turner. Sunday host Tiffany Simons chats with Matt Harvey about the special relationship he has with his dad. Plus, get an inside look at R.A. Dickey's 2012 season and how it compares to other great Mets pitchers from the past. On Mets Weekly, presented by W.B. Mason, new episode Sunday at 6, only on SNY. Now the infield can drop back with 2 out. Fred Lewis, the batter, 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes the changeup outside. Lewis went around 1-1. Fred Lewis, released by Cleveland during spring training this year, signed by the Mets to a AAA deal in late April, and then went out and had a tremendous year in AAA, good enough to be named Buffalo's MVP. The Mets' last MVP in Buffalo before they moved to Las Vegas with their AAA team next year. 85 pitches in the 4th inning for Turner. Not a recipe for sticking around very long. Well, we've been told officially that Lucas Duda is not hurt. He's not sick. He was removed from the game. Manager's decision. So that tells you that Terry pulled him from the game for not running hard on that pop-up. What's interesting to me is that Terry waited an inning before doing that. Lewis slugs one to center, chasing Hernandez back, and he grabs it for the out. A leadoff double. Tejada stranded at third. After 4, it's 5-1 New York. Our AT&T trivia question for tonight. Last player to win the Triple Crown and not be named MVP. Interesting question with Miguel Cabrera trying to win a Triple Crown in the American League. Time Warner Cable helps you enjoy all the things you love better. For more on tonight's game, let's check in with Kevin.
Well, Rob Brantley having a nice little initial run with the Marlins, coming over in that Anibal Sanchez trade. And, you know, his grandfather, a big influence in his life and in his baseball life. He said, you know, when I was younger, I had a bunch of older cousins. His grandfather would take all of us to the park and try and, you know, get me the extra work. And I loved it. I loved spending time with him, playing catch with him, all of that. But he was a huge Mickey Mantle fan. He said, I'd go over his house. I remember when I was like 6 years old, 6, 7 years old. He'd show me nothing but Mickey Mantle, old black and white videos. And I ate it up and loved it. He said, you got to hit the ball with authority like the Mick used to do. And check this out. Maybe it all sunk in after this pitch, as looks like he will fly out here. Maybe watching all those videos kind of came into play. Here's a shot of Brantley and, of course, a shot of Mickey Mantle. Check that out, guys.
How about that?
That's pretty cool, right?
Right.
So all those videos that Grandpa showed Rob Brantley paying off, and he's certainly hitting well so far. Let's go back to you.
Surprised he didn't become a switch hitter.
That's right.
Brantley is just 23 years old.
Part of that deal also for Infante and Sanchez. They went to the Tigers.
Here's Gil Velasquez, who had a pop fly single his first time up. And East misses inside with a cutter, 1-1. Velasquez grew up in Paramount, California. Where's that, Keith?
Paramount?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's in the movie studios in L.A.
Back lot.
Next to Burbank, right?
Beautiful downtown Burbank.
That's what Johnny Carson or Oxnard.
Nothing beautiful about Burbank if you've ever been there.
That was the joke.
Yes.
John Neese falling into an embarrassment of riches tonight. 5 runs for the Mets in a game at home. And the curveball gets Velasquez looking. 4 strikeouts for Neese, so he now has a career high 149 strikeouts for the season.
Well, just a beautiful curveball. Starts off the plate and bends right over that outside part. Doesn't get any better than that.
The Mets this year are 30-44 at home. In those 30 wins, 18 of them, the Met pitchers have allowed 1 run or no runs. So when they allow 1 run or no runs at home, they're 18-0. When they allow 2 runs or more, they're 12-44.
Wow.
Does that tell you everything you need to know?
It does. Yep. We should have a little bell, stat of the night. Just go off and we have one of those.
Well, tonight the Mets have 5. He's can afford to give up 4.
He doesn't want to. He's pitching like he doesn't want to give up anymore.
I think he's unhappy that he gave up the 1. And the curveball strikes out Turner. Tolle makes the toss, and that ends the inning. 5 strikeouts for Neese. He's retired 7 in a row, and we are now halfway through at Citi Field. Halfway through with the Mets up 5-1. As you look at the Delta 5th inning recap, Scott Harrison with a 2-run homer, capping the Mets' 3-run first. The Mets putting back together back-to-back multiple run innings at home for the first time in exactly 2 months.
Amazing.
Wow.
I mean, they did it in Milwaukee, the first game of the last road trip.
It's a road. It doesn't count. They are stellar on the road.
So basically, they're from the Willie Nelson, Jack Kerouac school.
Here you go.
Daniel Murphy takes a strike.
Well,
Murphy had an infield hit, stole a base, scored a run in the first, had a sacrifice fly in the second. Mets snapping their streak of 16 straight home games with 3 runs or less. The last team with a longer streak, you have to go back to the 1949 Cincinnati Reds.
No. Thank goodness.
But the Mets did not match that tonight.
Send a limo to the Marlins.
And, you know, just in case you were thinking, what happens if it rains? Well, this is now an official game.
there you go. So we're all covered now.
You're covered for, you know, earthquakes, floods, the whole thing. Jacob Turner up over 90 pitches here in the 5th. No action in the bullpen yet for the Marlins. And a full count to Murphy. Turner has not walked about it tonight. He's struck out only 1. And he gets Murphy, but the ball gets by Brantley. And Murphy reaches. What a comedy of errors this has been tonight for the Marlins.
That ball wasn't even in the dirt. That's just box it and send me a dozen.
Well, Brantley has not got a reputation as a very good defensive catcher, and you can see why there.
Got to turn your glove over the other side. Tried to backhand that. Ozzy's bewildered.
That's a pass ball charge to Brantley.
I really think that in the rule book, when a catcher botches a ball like that, it should be caught. That should be an E2.
Well, you know, the way the scoring rules are written, with wild pitches and pass balls, they try to separate the act of pitching and the act of catching from the act of fielding. And that's why you have separate designations, pass ball and errors. Because after all, the pitcher and catcher handle the ball every pitch.
Right.
Well, catcher most pitches.
Well, he's getting basically, well, there's not a put out and a strikeout. But, you know, he's got to catch that ball. Come on. I mean, that's E2.
That's why they call it a catcher. Right swings and misses. Brantley trying to make up for his mistake. Trying to pick Murphy off first base.
Well, he looks unhappy.
Should be.
Murph was running his first time up.
In the American League East, Baltimore, a game behind the Yankees starting the night. Red Sox hosting the Orioles tonight. Baltimore leads 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Yankees up 1-0 on Oakland in the 6th. CeCe Sabathia had a no-hitter through 5. That's been broken up.
Is that Edwin Jackson pitching for the Nationals tonight, Gary? It's 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Washington's ahead.
Yes, that is Jackson.
It's against Markham, right?
Yep. Jonathan Lucroy with a home run for the Brewers in that game. Dan Jennings, the left-hander, up in the Miami bullpen. Little dribbler off the end of the bat, and Lee comes in to play that spinner and tags out right as Murphy moves to second.
David has been really pulling off that slider and had to get a couple pitches inside, a lot like last year, and then he's just pulling off the slider. He's completely forgotten about right field.
You know, David's got to watch it. His batting average has slipped day by day as we move down the stretch of this season. He had that tremendous first half at over 350. He's got to really find his P's and Q's to keep his batting average over 300 for the year. Here's Ike Davis, drove in a run with a base hit his first time up and swings wildly at the breaking ball, 0-1.
You mentioned Sabathia, Gary. It's very unusual for the Yankees and the Mets to play so many games at home at the same time, isn't it?
You usually get 1 or 2 series a year that overlap. One to Davis with Hairston on deck. The Cincinnati Reds, if they win tonight, will clinch the National League Central, with the Cardinals losing this afternoon. Cincinnati and LA are 1-1 in the 6th. Dodgers with a chance to get within 2 of the Cardinals in the wild card if they can win that game, so it's important to both teams. That's Joe Blanton pitching for the Dodgers tonight, and Bronson Arroyo for the Reds. Well, that was a huge loss for the Cardinals this afternoon. 4-2 lead going to the bottom of the 9th in Chicago.
Well, the young manager Matheny has gone to the well a lot with Mott for more than 3-out saves.
So they kept him out tonight. That's line to Reyes, and nobody covered second base.
No.
And
Reyes,
so Murphy's able to get back.
Reyes had a chance to beat him back to the bag. Never thought about it.
Well, Solano was playing way over.
What's Solano? Solano can't get there.
Right.
Look at this. You can get him.
He didn't know how many outs there were.
There you go.
Style. Very nice.
Now, the Marlins have had at least a half a dozen plays like that already in this game. Just lack of attention.
By the way, the line drive was right at Murph, and Reyes was right behind him, and he still got off the bag.
Well, Murph's had a couple of plays tonight too. Remember, he abandoned second base earlier in the game and was fortunate to get back. Here's Hairston, who homered his first time up tonight.
I'll tell you what, you got a young pitcher out there trying to make an impression, and you get that kind of performance behind you. He should be in the dugout now. He's got to get another out.
And facing the guy that hit a 2-run bomb on you.
You know, in spring training, Gary, when I was, you playing yourself into shape. If Ronnie, Sid, Doc, Aguilera, Bobby O was out there pitching, it's a hot day. I might get on my heels. I'm tired, but I never got on my heels when you had a young pitcher, particularly when trying to make a ball club. You always got on your toes because that kid, it might be the play that you don't make, and he gets lit up. And you feel the cause of it. Where a guy like Ronnie and everybody else, they know they're going to make the ball club. So,
well, in a regular season game, is there ever an excuse for being on your heels?
No. I agree, but I'm just kind of trying to. Oh well, it's September. It's no excuse.
People are still paying to see the game.
That's right.
Which is one of the points that Terry made last night.
Tell you what, the Marlins feel like, it looks to me like they don't care if they finish last or not.
Hairston lines one to left field. Ruggiano with a dive. He can't get him, and it goes back to the wall. Murphy scores. Hairston racing for second. He'll turn and head to third. Ruggiano just now retrieving it, and Hairston has a triple, his third of the year. 6-1 New York.
Well, a nice effort here. Ruggiano not known for his defense. And Mets get a gift run.
I will say he's a different outfielder and left as he hurt himself on that play. With the dive, you can see the good speed by Hairston. But I don't know if he fell on his shoulder.
He's taking himself out of the game.
He may have separated his shoulder.
Ruggiano walking off the field after making that dive. Didn't even wait for the trainer to get there. And he's taking himself out. So each team has lost an outfielder in this game. The Mets because of a lack of hustle, and Ruggiano leaving because of injury. Brian Peterson will take over for Ruggiano in left field. So the unclinic continues. 6-1 New York. Harrison with a 3 RBI night. And now Mike Baxter will get his second turn at bat. Baxter, who homered last night for the only Met run in that 16-1 loss, will be intentionally walked here. And they'll pitch to Tejada instead. Interesting formulation at this point in the game. Intentional walk to Baxter.
He's been struggling.
His base hit off the pitcher's foot his first time up tonight was just his second hit in his last 22 at bats. And so Baxter's on. What's there to like about SNY on Facebook? A last chance to win $1,000 plus do over the voiceovers on the SNY commercials featuring disgruntled sports memorabilia. It's the SNY voiceover do-over contest, deadline September 21st. That's today. To enter, visit Facebook and like SNY today. Just a few hours left in summer. The autumnal equinox arrives tomorrow morning. We make the turn. Tejada bats first and third and 2 out. The run in this inning will be unearned because of the strikeout passed ball that started the inning. So of the 6 runs the Mets have scored tonight, 3 of the 6 have been unearned, and if they had not changed a scoring decision, all 6 would be unearned.
You're right.
Small solace to Jacob Turner. Finds himself behind 6-1. Turner at 113 pitches. That's a career high. And trying to finish this inning ahead of Tejada 0-2.
Where were the Marlins last night? Here? Having an off day?
They were off, yeah. Think they had a fun night?
Where'd they come from?
I think they were home.
They were
this
home?
is the start of their last road trip of the year. Did not play yesterday. So, one fun night in New York last night and one not so fun night in New York tonight. Tejada had a double his last time up, and he swings and misses, and Turner finishes his night with his 3rd strikeout. Mets add a run on Hairston's RBI triple and lead 6-1 after 5. Tomorrow, Ari Dickey against Mark Burley. Dickey goes for his 19th win. Chris Young against Ricky Nolasco on Sunday in the final game of the series. Top of the batting order, Gorkys Hernandez up for the third time against John Neese, and he takes a strike. Hernandez is grounded out twice. Neese is allowed a run on 3 hits. He hasn't walked a batter. What else is new? 5 strikeouts over the first 5 innings. A ball and a strike to Hernandez with Solano and Reyes to follow. You know, watching the Marlins tonight just played dreadfully, and this is the way they looked when the Mets played them down in Miami the last time. It's almost inevitable that some heads are going to roll in that organization. They've had so much invested in this season. Already there have been reports that their team president Larry Beinfest might get fired. There were reports today that Ozzie Guillen might get fired.
Wow.
Toward the hole and a base hit for Hernandez. A leadoff hit for the Marlins in the 6th inning.
Well, they have a hands-on owner in Jeffrey Loria, that's for sure, and he is very much involved, whether that's right or wrong. But he's the boss. He writes the checks.
And he'll make those decisions about who stays and who goes. There's Solano who fouls it off. But what makes it doubly interesting is that they shelled out so much money in the offseason in free agent deals to Reyes, to Burley, to Heath Bell. What do they do about their personnel? Forget about their management team.
Yeah.
Pulled over the bag and a fair ball. Solano hitting one well into the corner. Hernandez being waved around third. Almost runs over his third base coach and then scores. It's a double for Solano, and now it's 6-2 New York. Solano with both RBIs for Miami. Hernandez came flying around third so fast. Joey Espada was waving him home, and he almost ran him down.
Well, he's too close to the line. He's correct in coming down the line, almost halfway between third and home. And that's really a play as a base runner. The play's in front of you, Gary. You make your own choice. You're just getting confirmation from your third base coach. Hopefully.
A few chuckles in the Marlins dugout as Espada almost got taken out, and totally looked like he got crossed up as he boxed that curveball from Neese, and Solano winds up at third.
Looking for a cutter in, gets a curveball.
Whoops.
Yes, sir. That was definitely a cross-up. PB.
Well, they'll score a pass ball.
Yeah, that's a tough one for a catcher. That's one you could, as official score, if you knew the game, could give a wild pitch.
Especially Tolley, because he gets so many wild pass balls as a result of trying to catch Dickey.
That's right.
He should get a break in a situation like that. Infield back with a 4-run lead as Reyes takes one low. Reyes 1 for 2 on the night. So Neese has given up 2 straight hits to start this 6th inning. A run in for the Marlins. Solano at third and nobody out. And that curveball sits up and away, 3-1. And Reyes pulls one just foul, and he almost took out Solano, who was not very far into foul territory.
You got to get way in foul territory, or at least 2-3 feet.
Three-two. Cutter foul back. Red Sox had tied up the Orioles, but Baltimore just went back out in front on a Matt Wieters RBI double in the 6th. Baltimore 3, Boston 2. Curveball bounced slowly. Tough play for Wright, so he'll let it roll, and it goes foul.
Phillies have added on a run in the bottom of the 6th, 5-1.
It's Kyle Kendrick pitching.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah. There you go.
Well, if the Phillies win tonight, they'll be just 3 games behind St. Louis.
How about Pittsburgh, Gary? They're 1 game under 500, and they're losing to Houston 3-0 tonight early.
Jed Lowry hit a 3-run homer in the first off Wandy Rodriguez, going back to Houston to pitch tonight. And there's ball 4 to Reyes, and he still hasn't gotten anybody out in the 6th. First and third and nobody out. Carlos Lee coming up. We'll check in with the studio. Jonas Schwartz has this game break. Yeah, Warthen out for a conversation. Mets will get the bullpen cranking now. Justin Hampson preparing to loosen up as Nice is giving up a single, a double, and a walk to start this 6th inning.
Interesting pitch selection there. The Reyes 6-2 lead for Jonathan Nice. Ramirez up, and he throws a 3-2 curveball to Reyes.
So here's Lee, who's grounded out and taking a call, 3rd strike, 0 for 2. Solano at 3rd and Reyes at 1st with nobody out. Infield back looking for 2. Brian Peterson now the on deck batter. Peterson took over in left field for Justin Ruggiano, who we're now told left the game with a right shoulder sprain. Reyes with 35 steals on the year. Nice keeping an eye on him. John going for a career high 12th win tonight. And Lee fouls it off.
Interesting how Lee, when he swings his front foot, he winds up on his heel. Watch his front foot. Oh, he's kind of almost on his heels.
He got him out away. Remember that backdoor cutter that Gary called. One thing about Lee in RBI situations, he's not afraid to hit that hole between 1st and 2nd base. Always been a good hitter that way in RBI situations.
Pops it up. Easy for Ike Davis and foul ground. And that's the first out of the inning.
Good pitching. Got him out of way last time. This one's supposed to be away also, but it cut right across the plate and jammed Mr. Lee.
So now Brian Peterson up for the first time. I think just 208 in just under 200 bats this year. Took over for Ruggiano, who went 0 for 2 before hurting his shoulder. Solano at 3rd, Reyes at 1st with 1 out. And a fastball missing. Ball 1 to Peterson.
I'm always like, beware of the guy that comes in the middle of the game. Been sitting on the bench, chilling, knowing he wasn't going to play. The injury to Ruggiano, and here he is.
Austin Kearns with a lead pipe on deck. Do you like the lead pipe?
No, I like the donuts. I didn't want anything too heavy. Look at this.
Back to Nice, is going to come home with it. And now they've got Solano in the rundown. And Tolley puts on the tag, and the runners can't advance past 1st and 2nd. Nicely done. Nice figuring he didn't have time to turn a double play, so he made sure he got the lead runner for the 2nd out.
Well, nicely done by Josh, running him back. And Jose Reyes with no intention of even trying to get to 3rd base. Just pull up.
So now 2 out of the inning. Reyes at 2nd, Peterson at 1st. And Austin Kearns the batter. Kearns is grounded out and taking a call, 3rd strike, 0 for 2.
Well, there you see the defense right there. Pretty much straight up. Slight shade to right field. In the outfield.
big out here for Nice. You don't want them to even sniff any part of this game.
Well, if they get Kearns on base, they'd get the tying run to the plate here in the 6th. And Kearns takes it wide, a ball and a strike. John hasn't had a lot of luck against Miami. Just 1-5 lifetime against them, and 0-1 this year, despite pitching very well in 2 of his 3 starts against them. But tonight, getting a bonanza with 6 runs on his side. And Tolley and Nice having some trouble.
Well, we saw that scene in the dugout. They've had some trouble. They've been crossed up. Nice knows this is a big out. He wants to throw his pitch.
Now the 1-1 to Kearns, and he runs it inside. 2 balls and a strike. Kearns brought in to face lefties, but he's hitting just 189 against lefties this year. And he's with a good cutter. 2-2.
Good spot. No chance.
Disappeared. Very good strike to ball ratio for Nice tonight. He's walked only 1. That was in this inning. He struck out 5. 2-2. And a little flare into shallow left, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Reyes will come in to score the 2nd run of the inning. And the Met lead is cut to 6-3. Austin Kearns with a 2-out RBI hit.
Oh, doesn't matter how hard you hit them. Just hit them where they ain't, as they say. Little bloop.
So 2 runs home in the inning. Tying run comes to bat. Rob Brantley, the batter. Brantley is grounded out and flied out. Came into the game a red hot hitter. And a 9-game hitting streak, hitting .448 over the 9 games. And a chance to do some damage now against Nice. And he takes a fastball that misses for ball 1. Things were going swimmingly for Nice through the first 5 innings, but it's been a very different story here in the 6th. 3 hits and a walk have produced 2 runs. Gil Velasquez would be next. And Brantley foul tips it 1-1. Marlins 3 runs, 6 hits. The Mets 6 runs and 8 hits. And now 2 balls and a strike to Brantley. Well, Nice came into this inning with a very reasonable pitch count. He had thrown just 63 through 5, but 26 pitches already in this inning, as he tries to get through the 6th for his 19th consecutive start. And that cutter misses, and now it's 3-1. Two on and 2 out, and the 3-1 is fouled off on a full count to Brantley.
That was a pitch to hit right there. The fastball right down the pipe.
Well, everything's been middle of the plate away to Brantley so far, so he can almost eliminate that inside corner.
Boy, that's right down the middle.
So now the runners will be in motion. Peterson at second, Kearns at first with 3 and 2 at 2 down. And Brantley fouls back that cutter. Still 3 and 2.
Well, he shook off Tolley, wanted to throw that slider at old Cutter, and he hung it.
Well, you got a young left-hand hitter facing the left-hander. He's working hard to try and get him out and get out of this inning. This is where Brantley should have done like Mantle and switch in.
That's right.
3-2. Swing and a miss. He got him with the cutter. And so Nees finally puts the inning to bed. His 6th strikeout of the night. Marlins get 2 to cut it to 6-3. He can. On game day, exchange the can at the Citi Field box office to save 50% off 2 tickets. Visit Mets.com/PepsiCan for more details. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. Last player to win the Triple Crown and not be named MVP?
Teddy Ballgame?
I think so. There you go. Ted Williams, 1947. Joe DiMaggio beat him out by 1 vote. 202 to 201.
Wow.
Dan Jennings in the game to pitch for the Marlins.
This is 4th stint so far with the Marlins this year. Recently recalled on September 2nd. See that fine ERA. Good fastball, good slider from Jennings.
Josh Tolley, first man up against him. Dan Jennings, no relation to the Marlins assistant GM by the same name. The other Dan Jennings has been rumored to be a possibility to take over for Larry Beinfest if he loses his job as Marlins club president. 2-1 to Tolley. John Neese out on deck to bat for himself. There's Jeffrey Loria on the left, the Marlins owner, who will make those decisions. Jeffrey was nice enough to come up and see us in Miami the last time we were in town. Said, "I will fix this."
That's right.
Three and 1 to Tolley, leading off the home 6th. And he fouls it off. By the way, in that 1947 MVP race, Williams hit .343, 32 homers, 114 RBIs. DiMaggio hit .315, 20 homers and 97 RBIs, and beat him out. Now, were they considering defense?
It was the 56 game streak. That's what did it, right?
Well, that was
that wasn't. No, that was
41.
41. Right, I'm wrong.
Now, it was not the only time, believe it or not, that Williams won the Triple Crown and didn't win the MVP. It happened in 1942 as well, when Joe Gordon beat him out. Also of the Yankees.
Do you think that maybe because Ted didn't get along with the press?
May have had something to do with it. Of course, the writers vote for the MVP. That year in 42, Williams 356, 36 homers, 137 RBIs. Gordon 322, 18 homers, 103 RBIs. I mean, just not even in the same ballpark.
What was that famous quotation or quote by Ben Franklin? Something like, don't fight with people that have ink by the barrels. Something like that. I can't recall.
In other words, lay off the fourth estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Tolley strikes out to start the home six. By the way, Williams did win MVP in 1946 and 1949.
How many MVPs did Ted win in his career? Just the two?
But he could have easily had 4.
Yeah.
Which would have been the most all time until Bonds came along and won 7. Here's Neese, who's 0 for 2. Reached on an error and scored a run. Took a call, third strike. And he takes a strike from Jennings. Andres Torres has come out on deck to bat for Fred Lewis. And it looks like Andres the rest of the way is going to be limited to opportunities to bat right-handed. There's Torres on deck. 1-1 to Neese with 1 out. Mets up 6-3 in the 6th. Let's check in with Kevin.
Talking about all the rumors swirling around the Marlins, and Ozzie Guillen was literally laughing at them today in the dugout. He said, you know, it is the last thing out of my mind whether or not I'm going to have a job next year. And I expect to be back 100%. I really do. You know, there's people that feel I didn't do my job. They should be managing this ball club, Len.
Neese hits one past the bag and down the line, and he's got himself another base hit. 12th hit of the season for John Neese.
You know, Ozzie said, guys, that the thing about this group, we've all failed. It's a group thing. You know, players, managers, front office, we've all failed at this. And he had a little fun with his team as well. You know, the Marlins had the rookie hazing on the trip to New York, so they had the rookies dress up as the water polo team. So all this, they all went shirtless. And one of the reporters said, did you like the picture of the water polo team? And Ozzie said, well, I'll tell you what, we've got great bodies. You know, our guys drink coconut water, we eat salads, organic food, and we're in last place. Stay hot.
I love it.
It was one of the most
time to eat steak.
One of the most entertaining half hours I've had at the ballpark in a while.
Yeah, no,
well, you know, Ozzie can afford to laugh about losing his job because, after all, he's going to get paid for 3 more years, whether they fire him or not.
What was that old term, Gary? Low ball hitter and a high ball drinker.
Torres smashes one to short. Reyes with the pick. Gets it to Solano and on to first for the 6-4-3 double play. And that gets the Marlins through the bottom of the 6th inning. We go to the 7th now at Citi Field with the Mets up 6-3. game in center as we go to the 7th inning.
Well, watch Torres here running to first base. He almost kills himself.
Oh, that's terrible.
Another first.
Lucky didn't break his ankle.
Wow.
Gil Velasquez leads off the 7th against John Neese, who begins the inning with 94 pitches under his belt. And a fastball strike to Velasquez, who had a pop fly single and scored a run in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th, 1 for 2. Greg Dobbs has come out on deck to pinch hit. And Velasquez lines one to center. Torres will have to play it on the hop. And so Velasquez has his 2nd hit of the night. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. There's no escape. Now Dobbs, the pinch hitter. Dobbs has been playing most of the third base for the Marlins coming down the stretch of the season. And pinch hitting here against the left-hander, which is a little surprising.
Really?
Because normally they keep him away from lefties. Guess Giancarlo Stanton's probably not available. He's got that pulled muscle on his side. They've got their backup catcher John Buck, and they've got Donnie Murphy on the bench as right-hand batters as well. The Marlins only have 5 players on their bench, which is very unusual for September. Opted not to call up a whole bunch of guys. 0-2 to Dobbs.
They don't want the young players to see this play.
What did Ozzie say? I don't. Why call some more AAA players? I got enough here already.
He's unbelievable, right?
He goes places nobody else goes.
That's right.
Worked for him in Chicago. And Dobbs out on 3 pitches. 7 strikeouts now for John Neese. And that's going to be all for Neese. Terry Collins on his way to the mound. 99 pitches tonight, make it 98 pitches tonight for Neese. And Bobby Parnell is going to come in with 1 out in the 7th inning. So John takes his exit in line for his 12th win of the year. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps. 7 hits, and he certainly appears as though he wanted to stay in that game. Bobby Parnell on the pitch to Gorky Hernandez, and he throws a breaking ball for ball 1. Parnell had a unique experience last night. He did not pitch in the game, which very few Met relievers had the opportunity to say last night. Mets used 10 pitchers in a 9-inning game for the first time in their history. A ball and a strike to Hernandez, is 1 for 3 tonight. Singled and scored in the 6th inning. 1 out and 1 on. And Parnell overpowers him. 1-2. Wade LeBlanc, the left-hander, up in the Marlins bullpen. Parnell pitched night before last against the Phillies, worked an inning, allowed no runs and 1 hit. Phillies lead the Braves 5-2. Now they're in the bottom of the 8th in Philadelphia, trying to get within 3 games of the wild card lead. Milwaukee has that same opportunity, but they trail 2-1 in Washington in the 8th. Milwaukee trying to get within a game and a half. Here's your Mazda drive around the majors. Phillies have hit 3 home runs, including Ryan Howard homering in the 3rd straight game. 5-2 in the bottom of the 8th they lead. Adam LaRoche a 2-run homer, enough so far for Edwin Jackson. They lead the Brewers 2-1 in the 8th. And Matt Wieters has led the Orioles to a 4-2 lead over the Red Sox in the 7th. Double play ball to Tejada. Murphy with the turn just in time to get the speedy Hernandez. And the Mets turn the 6-4-3 double play. 7th inning stretch, 6-3 New York. Dolphins tuned to SNY for behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments. Jets post-game live presented by Toyota Sunday immediately after the Jets-Dolphins game, only on SNY. There's your Hyundai box score. Mets putting up 6 runs tonight. Scott Hairston the big night, a homer, a triple, 3 RBIs. Daniel Murphy leads off against the new Marlins pitcher, left-hander Wade LeBlanc.
Well, he's put his time between starting and relieving much better in relief. His ERA 1.37, as a starter 4.68.
He was a big prospect with the Padres, 2nd-round pick out of the University of Alabama. A starter throughout his career, but never really panned out in San Diego, as Murphy grounds one down to Lee at first base. Marlins picked him up in the deal that sent John Baker to San Diego. And LeBlanc has found a home now in the Miami bullpen.
How old is LeBlanc?
28.
Maybe played with David Robertson. He's an Alabama guy, the reliever for the Yankees. Robertson might be a little younger.
Now David Wright is 0 for 3 tonight, still 4 hits behind Ed Kranepool's record. Let's see, Robertson is 27. Yeah, they would have been there at the same time. There are your men all-time hit leaders. Reyes third on the list behind Kranepool and Wright, then Cleon Jones and Edgardo Alfonso. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable.
Keith, how many knocks you have in your career?
21 and change.
21 and change.
Had that big lockout one year.
Yeah. 81.
2182. So that's a lot of change.
So you needed 3.5, maybe more. 3.5, 3 seasons with all the gold, a couple of championships, and you'd have to make a speech.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh well. When I'm dead and gone, it won't matter.
We'll still remember you. No matter what. By the way, since you weren't here last night and the news was released without anybody telling us, kind of snuck up on us, as David drives one foul, it appears that you are now locked into this idea of shedding what one columnist today referred as your soup strainer.
Yes. We have a lot to thank for Richard Sandomir, our friend from the New York Times, who happened to be watching the game, that last homestand where I just said offhandedly, you know, I may just shave my mustache, the last game of the season. And then, of course, Richard followed up with a story, and then Andrew Figueroa at SNY said, why don't we make this a charitable thing? And that's what stuck out. So, you know, my involvement with the Jacqueline Hernandez Daycare Center at Cobble Hill, and been working with them and raising money for them. And my mom's the daycare center named after my mother. It just, that's what put it over the top. So they're going to fly in. Andrew found the ship was all on board, and they're going to send their professional, evidently their professional barber, celebrity barber from Las Vegas. Schick is flying him in. We'll shave my mustache Thursday, the last home game, and $10,000 will go to Cobble Hill. So all for good. That's the bottom line, and I will play out the rest of the season without the mustache.
You'll be bereft the brush.
Oh,
nice.
We have a picture of you with no mustache.
The Vern Rapp days.
Was that 1976?
Well, we'll see. We're going to show it or what?
Well, let me ask you a question. When they shave this thing off, what do you expect to find?
I expect to find a thin upper lip.
Is that why you grew it in the first place?
No, there was other reasons. I told you I was a Clint Eastwood fan and grew up with the Old West and, you know, Paladin, and all the Cowboys had mustaches. I always wanted. Then the Oakland A's came in the 70s with the mustaches, and that was it. I was sold on it.
What year would you have first grown it?
Well, I tried to grow up once I got out of my dad's grasp, which meant I was not coming home on winters. In winters, and turned 21. Actually, he let me loose. It was tough getting loose too. Let me tell you.
And after you shave it off, if you change your mind, how long will it take you to regrow it?
Maybe 3 weeks to a month. Probably a month. So we'll see. I will go the rest of the year without it.
Ike hits one to deep right field. Forget it. Way back in the Pepsi porch. Number 28 for Ike Davis, and he got all of that one. Davis with a bomb, and it's 7-3.
Change up, Keith.
Stayed back, up, out over the plate.
Mike has to lead the team, and no doubt about it, home runs.
And he also now leads the team in RBIs. He's got 83, 2 tonight. One more RBI for the season than David Wright. That's it. 2 home runs tonight. Log on to sny.tv/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for $2 off Tide Pods laundry detergent, redeemable at any Dwayne Reed location.
That was Ponds?
Pods.
Okay.
Pods.
Gotcha.
Scott Hairston had the Mets' other home run tonight. That came in the first inning, a 2-run shot. He also had a run-scoring triple. 28 home runs, 83 RBIs now for Ike Davis. Hairston pops one up, and Solano, the second baseman, calls, and that retires the side. Ike Davis, home run number 28. The 8th one he's hit off a left-hander this year, as he takes Wade LeBlanc well up into the Pepsi porch. A soaring drive. 7-3 New York. Get a double play to end the 7th inning after John Neese went a solid 6 1/3. Solano's driven in 2 runs tonight with a single and a double, and he takes a strike. And Carlos Zambrano was up in the bullpen.
Talking about mustaches.
And talking about players the Marlins imported this year in a very odd mix.
He honestly pitched well with the first month of the season.
Hasn't broken up any drink containers on the bench this year.
They say he's been a perfectly wonderful citizen.
His anger is managed. In the Bronx, Brandon Moss just homered off Rafael Soriano to tie up the game in the top of the 9th. Justin Hampson up in the Mets bullpen. It's looking more and more as though Oakland's going to make it. Started the night even with Baltimore for those top 2 wild card spots, with the field 4.5 games out.
Now the Brewers are down to their last 3 outs. They're losing 2-1 in the 9th.
Tyler Clippard in to try and get the save.
He can throw a long one.
We've seen it. Parnell with the breaking ball, 2-2 to Solano, with Reyes and Lee to follow. Baltimore's up 4-2 on Boston. That game's now in the 8th at Fenway. And Solano strokes one. Hot shot for Murphy. Knocks it down. Takes an extra beat and almost lost the play, but got him by a half a stride.
Well, hot shot. Double clutch makes it close. I'll tell you what. I thought he beat it. Let's see. Nope. Good call.
Did he double clutch because Ike was coming from such a long distance that Ike wasn't on the bag yet? Is that why he double clutched?
I don't know. I was looking at the monitor.
Reyes 1 for 2 in a walk tonight, and he stopped the swing 1-0. Here's your Coors Light freeze cam on the play at first base.
Good call.
Foot in air, ball in glove. Two and out to Reyes. Beard in that picture, not quite up to date. I have to say, in some respects, Jose almost looking rabbinical with that beard.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Bobby Parnell providing the Cholula.
What would it be without Bobby? Without the there'd be no Cholula.
Well, we got Harvey now and Familia, guys who can throw some Cholula. Torres squeezes it, and there are 2 out. Let's check in with the studio. Jonas Schwartz is there with this game break. That was impressive.
Wow.
I mean, that ball was not hit hard. Braun can run, and he gunned him down. Here's Carlos Lee with 2 out, and a bouncing ball for right. Plenty of time as he backs up and throws out Lee to end the inning. So a 1-2-3 inning for Bobby Parnell. We go to the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field with the Mets up 7-3. Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. With those guys with him. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.org. And by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Carlos Zambrano has really struggled the last 3 months.
Well, we talked about how he had gotten off to a pretty good start, 4-3 with a 2.81 ERA in his first 11 starts, but after that a 6.71 ERA as he struggled, and that got him in the bullpen.
Mike Baxter up for the third time. He's reached on an infield hit and an intentional walk after coming on for Lucas Duda, who was pulled from the game for failing to run out of pop-up. Baxter, Tejada, and Tolley for the Mets against Zambrano here in the bottom of the 8th.
Oh,
and
that was one of the trick ones.
Nailed Laz Diaz.
Nailed him. How about the catcher getting the glove and catching the ball?
Did he get crossed up here?
No, he didn't get crossed up. He just didn't put his glove up.
Oh, that was the old trick in the old days in the minor leagues. You get a bad umpire back there. Oh, that was just like
direct hit.
Throw a fastball right between his horns, and the catcher pretend like it's a curveball. I've seen it. I saw it a lot in the minor leagues.
Really?
Yes.
Well, Laz is able to smile about it as cohorts come down to make sure he's okay. And what can Brantley say? It's not the first ball he hasn't caught tonight.
Brantley should just turn around. I mean, this is barely got leather on it.
Oh, that got leather.
God, what are you laughing at?
Oh my God! I clobbered him. Straight shot to the chin.
Like a rock'em sock'em robot, he's right back up again.
Just push the head down, ready to go.
Oh man, your wake-up call.
3-0 to Baxter, and he takes a strike. Phillies have won. They beat the Braves tonight 6-2. So the Phillies continue their move. They're now 3 games behind the Cardinals for that last wild card spot.
Oh, and Milwaukee did tie it up, I see.
They just did. Up the middle and a base hit for Baxter, and he's on base for the 3rd straight time. So 2 hits and a walk for Baxter, who did not start the game. And the Mets have a leadoff base runner against Zambrano.
Am I right or wrong? Is Tyler Clippard just like comes in and just gives it up, or what?
You know, the stats wouldn't say that, but we've seen him give up many home runs against the Mets. Back-to-back one night in Washington, and here
tonight he gave up a bunt single to Nori Aoki, took 2nd on a pass ball, moved to 3rd on a fly ball, and scored on a Ryan Braun base hit. So the catching tonight hasn't been great anywhere. Tejada fouls one off. Rubens 1 for 3 tonight, a double back in the 4th inning. By the way, Ike Davis hitting his 28th home run tonight. Ike is only the 3rd Met to hit 28 or more home runs at age 25 or younger. Darryl Strawberry did it twice. David Wright did it twice. And now Ike at age 25 has hit 28 home runs. Toward the middle of the diamond, and Solano with the pick gets it to Reyes for the force as Baxter goes in hard, and they get the first out.
Nice play by Solano right there, and Reyes pulls the Olay there to get out of the way. He was in a position to get hurt. Good hard slide by Baxter.
So 1 out and 1 on for Tolley, who's 1 for 3, a double back in the 2nd. Rodani Valdespin has come out on deck to pinch hit. Brewers have taken the lead in that 9th inning in Washington, 3-2.
That would get them to 1 game behind.
1.5.
That gets serious now. That's getting a little hairy.
Ramos Ramirez with an RBI double to give them the lead.
What a year he's had.
After Braun stole 2nd. How about that? Tie game, 9th inning. Zambrano feels the comeback. Reyes bobbles, but still able to turn the double play, 1-6-3. It's been a very odd night for Jose, no? We go to the ninth. Mets 7, Marlins 3. Tonight, Jets talking, Giants not talking nearly as much, and golf is building in Brooklyn is open now. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame only on SNY. Our next SNY telecast will be on Monday night, where the Mets open their series with the Pirates. Henry McKeel will pitch that game. John Roush is pitching this ninth inning.
Well, John Roush pitching with a 4-run lead here. He has been one of the stalwarts and strengths in that bullpen in the second half.
Ryan Peterson leads off in the ninth inning, his second turn at bat after coming on for the injured Justin Ruggiano, who hurt his shoulder trying to make a diving catch. Peterson, Kearns, and Brantley, the 3 scheduled hitters for the Marlins in the ninth.
I'll let you guys have the weekend. I'm going to go check out those Oakland Athletics, Gary.
Oh, good one for you.
Yeah.
Do they have any starting pitching left now?
I know. Anderson down. Francisco starts to
McCarthy
throw.
down.
That was really
Nice
scary
to see Frank Francisco up in the bullpen.
Yeah.
After a couple of days off because of elbow tendonitis.
That was a scary thing with Brandon McCarthy, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Can only imagine what thoughts go through a pitcher's head when a line drive is hit back at his skull.
Well, someone who I haven't got hit in the head, but I've been hit many times. The thing is that as soon as it's hit, you know it's going to hit you, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't get your glove down in time or turn your body the right way.
Swing and a miss, and Peterson's out on strikes. 1 out in the ninth. Let's see what's coming up on WB Mason postgame live. Go to the studio. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys. Now Austin Kearns is 1 for 3. He's driven in a run tonight. Roush trying to finish it off for John Neese, who went 6 1/3 tonight, allowed 3 runs and 7 hits. Nice job by Bobby Parnell. Got 5 outs without allowing a base runner. 1-1 to Kearns. Now the 1-2. And Kearns takes the slider out of the strike zone. 2-2. Tomorrow, R.A. Dickey goes for his 19th win. R.A. has dominated the Marlins this year. Tough day at the office. 3-2, and that's in there for a call third strike. Back-to-back strikeouts for Roush to start the night.
3-2 fastball. Kearns taken.
And that has been one of the reasons why Roush turned his season around. Had a terrific second half as he was becoming, basically in that first half, he saw nothing but sliders. And then he started in Tampa when he got out of that bases loaded jam, I believe it was, came in relief, started throwing his fastball. And as a result, he's been the best down the second half of the season out of that bullpen.
I just remember after the All-Star break, he had one knee drained, and then he had the other one drained, and was out about what, maybe 6-7 days, 5-6 days, and after that he was.
Well, he still throws hard.
Perfect. Yeah,
he's 91 miles an hour, 92. That's plenty. And he's got good slider.
Plus coming from 6'11", different angle.
And a guy the Mets have to make a decision on after the year whether to bring back next season.
No decision on my part. You bring him back if you can.
Frank Francisco signed for next year. Roush was signed to just the one-year deal. 2-0 to Brantley, who's 0 for 3 tonight. And now 3-0. Gil Velasquez on deck. Brewers have tacked on a run and lead 4-2 in the 9th inning in Washington. It's a strike. 3-1 to Brantley. Well, if the Reds clinch the division tonight, it'll have to be in extra innings. Dodgers and Reds tied 1-1 after 9. Here's the 3-1, and it's hit in the air to right field. Murphy out, Baxter in, Murphy calling, and the ball game is over. John Roush pitches a 1-2-3 9th inning to wrap it up as the Mets snap a 9-game home losing streak, snap a 16-game home streak of scoring 3 runs or fewer as they take care of the Marlins tonight 7-3 to give John Neese his career-high 12th win.
Well, the main reason behind the offensive power surge was the 2 guys, the forward 5 hitters, Davis and Harrison, were the hitting stars. Harrison with the career-high 18th home run, the first 2-run shot. He had a triple RBI triple. Davis hits his 28th, a solo in the 7th.
There's your Time Warner Cable game summary. Mets stay in last place for the day and get Neese's 12th win. 7-3 the final. More coming up from Flushing in just a moment.